Hello, hello, it's Rob here, touchscaper developer. Hope you're doing all well and fine and dandy. So today, been working pretty much flat out on this up and coming release, which is mostly relating to the sequencer, but there are also some new sounds, some new internal sounds. And I just wanted to run through all of the above quickly, which I know at my pace isn't that quick, really. Anyway, let's dive in straight away. So we'll start with the new sounds first of all. I did kind of preview these on another video, but I thought it would be kind of good to just run through them a bit more specifically. If we start with the new drums, we've got what I've called the BB78. This is actually using samples from a drum machine that I own, which is actually just over here. See if I can get this in the video. It's this guy. It's the Cyclone Analogic TT78 beat bot. There you go. And this is a drum machine. I don't know if they actually say it's an out-and-out clone, but it's certainly heavily inspired by the Roland CR78 legendary drum machine. Phil Collins, Blondie, John Fox, yeah, loads of famous tracks feature that drum machine. It happens to be my particular favourite, which is why I own this guy. And I thought, well, I'm going to share that with you and sample it. Just as a little aside, all of the stuff that you hear built into the amp, I don't own all the kit, but it's stuff that I have actually sampled myself. I normally, like whenever I get a chance to borrow gear, I do, and then I sample it, and some of it ends up in touchscaper or some of my other apps. I really like this drum machine. I'll give you a little blast of this pattern here. So the drum sounds that you're hearing there are actually from the I haven't processed them at all because I just think they sound pretty good, just dry like that. The kick is particularly nice, I think. The percussion is also from the Beatbot, and I have added a little bit of ambience to that, just to kind of push it back. So I hope you're okay with that. So you've got basically split across the drums and percussion. You've got 12 sounds: congas, bongos, gyro, claves, drums. Given this machine has a kind of a Latin leaning, excuse me, it doesn't have open hi-hats or tom-toms, but the maracas kind of have an open hi-hat like vibe, so I've kind of put them on the open hi-hat track. And similarly, there's no claps, but the tambourine has a sort of fairly percussive element to it. Actually, if we just listen to the hi-hat and the maracas, mute the percussion, just to, if I turn it on. So it kind of sounds hi-hatty like. I'll bring in the tambourine. If it plays, there we go. You get the general idea. And then there's a cymbal here, which is almost like a kind of splashy hi-hat type sound. There you go. So that's the drums and percussion, courtesy of the Cyclone Beatbot. And then for the synth I've got a new sound. Actually, let's get it on this pattern, which is, I've called it M64. Oh, they're too far away, and we probably won't be able to get them on the video. But this is basically my two Moog Mother 32s layered to behave as kind of one super synth, hence M64. See what I did there? And this, if I mute the drums, sounds like this. So what I was going for here is just to give you the option of a kind of a sharper percussive sound, and the other thing is in the lower octaves it's tuned to a fifth. So hopefully that might be useful. Now, some of the requests I've had for new features, I've had a lot. Enough to keep me busy for quite some time. But one of the most, I guess, a standout one was to have an additional kind of synth sequencer, and I wanted to kind of get that in pretty quickly and easily. So I've kind of had to shoehorn it in as an additional touch part. The touch sequencer has kind of veered off a bit because we added the chords not so long ago. Excuse me. So this now has a synth 2 option, and this is also using excuse me, Mother 32 sounds. And that has a slightly more kind of sustained quality. So I will give you, again, let's get it on there. I'll give you a quick blast of that just so you can hear it in isolation. So it's just this simple pattern here. So it's a nice sort of stacked saw wave type thing. And then if you layer that with the sort of slightly more percussive M64, I think you get this quite nice. It's kind of all in the bass, but it's I think they complement each other quite well. So hopefully you'll find those new sounds useful. Okay, so that's the sounds covered off. Now, some of the more observant amongst you, which I know you're all very observant, I can tell by the comments and messages that I get. This is new down the side here. So what's all this about? So this is variable track by track options on the steps. So if we bring one of these up, let's see, what would be a good one to look at? This is my usual lack of preparedness for a video. Let's take a look at actually this guy is a good one, I think. Yeah, so you see all these options here. 16 steps going that away is how the sequencer has always behaved. You notice this one is set to 12. So if we play this pattern, if I mute everything else, yeah, except this guy. And actually, let's just listen to this one lane, which is set to 12. Now, it might not be very clear. Unfortunately, in this particular mode, it's maybe not enough contrast. But these guys are just moving that away. I'll just check the video. Yeah, sorry, it's not super clear. let's try changing the colors. It's probably going to take the video a little while to settle down to that, and just kind of show you that again and see if you can see it a bit better. Can maybe see it a bit better now, but it's just kind of cycling. Yeah. So that particular lane is only repeating every 12 steps. Everything else is 16. So when you put them together, you get this. So you get this kind of nice cycle effect. So I thought that might be quite useful. I'm going to flip it back. You get the idea now. I'm just going to flip it back into monochrome mode because I think it's a bit easier to see for these kind of videos. If we go back into that guy. So how do we change these? Well, you can change these on a track by track or lane by lane, whatever you want to call them. So if we go into this one, we see the options here. For this particular octave, C5, we've got 12 steps, and we can select between 4 and 16. And you've got the option forwards and backwards, or just forwards as we currently have, and a step multiplier. If we go to one of our other tracks, there's a bit of that going on in this guy. Let's mute. Sorry, I'm flipping back and forward crazy today. Let's just play this pattern. And the one to be paying attention to is this lane up here. And again, sorry, you might not be able to see, but basically this particular track is behaving differently. So let's take a look at that. What it's doing is it's going forwards and backwards, but it's also respecting this thing I've called step multiplier. So what that effectively does is it says, instead of advancing, if you think of this as the kind of master, what's the term? Master track, if you like. So anything with 16 going forward is kind of adhering to that top timeline, if you like. Whereas for this particular track, it's saying only advance every 2 steps. So every time you get 2 on here, you only advance 1 on here. And you can do that up to 4 steps. And then you've got the option to either just play every time it advances or play that step on every increment of your master step track. Wow, I'm not explaining this very well at all, am I? But let's switch that off and take a listen, again paying attention to that kind of higher register part. Then it comes back. We turn that on, and when it comes back, we could change it to 3. So it'll take longer to come back because it's only advancing every 3 now. So I don't know, I think that's kind of fun. And it adds this added variation because it takes longer for the same thing to kind of repeat because you've got these multipliers going on. One last thing to show you on that. Let's stick with this guy let's reduce the number of steps down to 4. And we'll basically have it playing forwards. So now it's going to loop every 4 steps. So if we play that, you got it? Let's change it forwards, backwards. Now there's another option. Forwards and backwards has 2 different kind of modes. So with this option on, it will play all steps. So for a 4-step pattern here, it will play 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. You flip that off, it'll play 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And let's just hear that. So now it'll kind of bounce rather than going back and forth. So that's a way of having a kind of slightly different variation, which is kind of fun. And then if you want to go really crazy, we could say, well, let's have 6. Oh, let's go even crazier and have 7 steps, forwards and backwards, play all steps when changing direction. You get this sort of thing going on. Of course, 7 works perfectly. If we play all steps, it'll sound a bit more funky. There you go. And of course, you don't have to play all the steps. You can do stuff like this. Then you get this nice kind of rhythmic stuff going on, kind of slightly more polyrhythmic vibe. And this is just one track. You know, you can go absolutely mad with the other stuff. From subtle variation to total chaos, it's up to you. You know, there's no such thing as a bad idea. One more thing to cover off, something that you may have noticed, that this is sounding a lot more Arpeggiator-like. So we had this feature which I kind of dubbed SMARP, which is a smart arpeggiator. It's not actually that smart, but it's now a bit more configurable. So let's go back to our simple, let's do 5 actually. We do 5 forwards and backwards, just see how that sounds. Actually, let's go forwards. Okay, so Smart Arpeggiator is now configurable, and that's configurable across all the octaves. So you've got a number of options in the lower octaves. C2 and C3 always play root notes, so I just put a little note on there to remind me and you that that's what it does. For the slightly higher register, you've also got the option just to play a root, which sometimes for a bass line you might want to kind of split a bass line across these 3 octaves, but always have C4, maybe even C5 play a root note. You notice for C6 here, that's configured to go up and down. So let's mute these guys and set C6 to be up only. So what we can do actually is change that to be just 3 notes, because we know that we're dealing only with 3-note chords at the moment. Which is kind of cool. Let's set it to down. Here it's going down now. Actually, let's bump up the steps to 6. So you can hear it's going down now. For up down, we need to add some more notes because we need to hear basically, because it's 3 notes, it'd be 3, 2, 1. So let's change the number of steps to 8. And if we should be able to hear it going up and down now because it's a 3-note chord, so we want to have 4 steps to have a kind of nice cycle to it. So now it's going up and down. Okay, and then the last option is random, which isn't actually random. It's random arpeggiator direction. Off is completely random, so it will just pick notes from that chord, and it's basically how the sequencer functioned in non-smart mode. So it just kind of randomly picks notes from that octave for that particular chord. Which is random. Random is random direction, so it will vary between up, down, and up and down. Have I confused you as much as I've confused me? I think, hopefully not. But let's have a quick listen to that. So you can hear it's kind of flipping between up and down and up and down and down and up. I quite like up and down for this particular pattern. It's a little bit more of a kind of regular meter, bring those guys back in. So you get the idea. These two features are kind of partners in crime, if you like, in that they sort of open some interesting avenues, hopefully, you'll find, for introducing either subtle variation or complete craziness, depending on arp direction, number of steps. I think there's a lot of fun to be had with these two new features. I hope you agree. And experimentation, it's what it's all about really with this stuff. So I hope you have some fun with that, and I hope you have some fun with the new sounds. And 149 is literally awaiting review as we speak. So this video will be up around about the time of the 149 release or just before it, depending on when that particular update makes it through review. So I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover in this session. Hope you're all safe and well. Hope you're enjoying the sunshine wherever you are. We're getting a very rare glimpse of it up here in Scotland. And anyway, take care, look after each other, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.